Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here. And yes, the title is correct. Wargaming is attempting to fix one of the, in my opinion, biggest issues facing the game at this moment, which is the frequency of blowout matches. If you guys watched Tuesday's live stream, oh my god, like the first half of that live stream, shoot, it was just no contest matches for, again, an hour and a half straight. So we're going to be taking a look at that and another devblog that very much confirms that the art department is back and revamped, and you guys will be seeing what I'm talking about here in a moment. In fact, actually, that one is first up, because we are going in order of release of these two devblogs. So link to these devblogs are in the description down below. If you wish to read along as I read aloud, you can find them linked down there in the description. While you're down there, why not hit that subscribe button, the like button, and leave a comment. Helps on the YouTube side of things. And if you do enjoy these daily Warships videos and these devblog videos, which I try to get out as fast as possible after their release, go ahead and subscribe for more. But anyway, getting on into it. First up, as promised, the devblog titled Closed Test 14.6, Early Access to a New Branch of American Destroyers, Graphic Updates, and more. Devblog says, "Welcome back to the devblog, captains. The seas are stirring once again as we set sail into full details of Update 14.6. Early access to American Destroyers takes the spotlight this time around, backed by a new graphics processing update to make the game look crisper than ever. Early access to American Destroyers. A brand new line of American Destroyers consisting of the Tier 7 Hughes, Tier 8 Osborne, Tier 9 Christopher, and Tier 10 Burroughs enters early access in Update 14.6. The ships focus on main battery firepower over stealth or torpedoes, especially at Tier 8 and above, where they wield powerful 137mm guns that can fire both HE and SAP shells. The distinguishing feature of these destroyers is a unique smoke generator that can be toggled on and off at will. However, like a submarine's dive capacity, the amount of smoke that can be used is limited, thus encouraging strategic use. Moreover, this special consumable comes with a minimum activation period and a short cooldown upon deactivation. These gunboats bring a new tactical twist to the battlefield, offering players dynamic control over their positioning and engagement windows." So I'm actually really excited for this line of destroyers. I love gunboat destroyers, and these guys are looking like they are going to be pretty dang good. So I will most definitely be trying to get my dirty little battleship hands on these destroyers when they do come out, so look out for that. But anyway, first sign of the art department's resurgence are these two camos that they're releasing for this event. The first one is called the Wanted, which looks amazing. It's for the Tier 9 ship, the Christopher. Look at this. This looks good. It's like that that engraving that you'll find on like old, like Colt revolvers and stuff. It looks so good, and the details are very crisp and sharp, high def all the way around. That looks so amazing. It's only topped by the camo for the Burroughs, which is called the Righteous. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. This makes my American heart so happy. This looks hot. I'm not a fan of camos that aren't historical camos, but if I do wind up getting these camos for these ships, you can bet I am for sure running them on these ships. This looks amazing. Like, it looks like it's the the engraving or the I forget exactly what this is called, but whatever. It's got like that finish coat on it, and like it's wearing off. You can see the brass underneath it. It looks so good. The details on these camos are perfect.
It's very cool, Bateman, but that's nothing. Look at this.
That is really nice.
Eggshell with Romalian type. What do you think?
Nice. But wait, you ain't seen nothing yet. Raised lettering, pale nimbus, white. Impressive. Very nice.
Amazing. Beautiful, might I say. So that right there, ladies and gentlemen, hats off to the art department. These are the perma camos that I will be attempting to get and run on these ships for sure. And I also mean with this line too, if you guys don't know, this line of American destroyers they are new models. The hulls are new models, the turrets and the guns are all new models for the ships. I believe the superstructure is a mixed mash of already existing superstructure and new models as well. I mean, these are American destroyers. Obviously, with it being an American destroyer designed, around the end of World War II, it's going to share a lot of superstructure elements and other design elements of, like the gearing and the Fletchers and such. So obviously, there are going to be parts that are going to be reused, but these are mostly new models through and through. So that's excellent. If you guys watched the video a few months ago, we were looking at Wargaming hiring new 3D artists and 2D artists for World of Warships. It appears that they have enough now to start cranking out new models once again, along with the Seal, that British submarine that came out a little while ago. That was a completely new model, as is Royal Sovereign and Archangel that was announced a little while ago too. So nice to see that the art department is back. And speaking of the art department being back too, the next section is the graphics update. Update 14.6 brings a major leap forward in visual fidelity with the introduction of Wargaming Temporal Super Sampling, TSS, a new anti-aliasing and image reconstruction method designed to significantly improve image quality without sacrificing performance. With this new feature enabled, you'll notice smooth edges and reduced aliasing that rivals the quality of SSAA 8 times, sharper details and higher definition preserving the fine elements of ships and environments, far less flickering on ship's structures and water reflections, improved visual stability even during intense movement or dynamic lighting scenes, minimized ghosting and visual artifacts, ensuring clean, crisp motion. In simple terms, visuals will look clearer, more stable, and less jagged even in fast-paced action or complex lighting scenes. You can enable TSS in the graphics setting under the anti-aliasing mode option. The previous anti-aliasing options remain available for lower-end PCs, but are no longer part of the standard preset, so be sure to explore and select your preferred option. Now, these two images I'm about to throw up on the screen, do understand that you're going to be looking at this on YouTube, so YouTube compresses the crap out of video. Even if you're watching in 4K, it's still compressed, so you can't see a lot of the fine details, right? So this is why I highly encourage you to check out the DevBlog. Again, linked down below. The best place to notice these changes are looking at the radio towers and any rigging that you see in these two images. The first image on screen, look at the radio towers in the background. You can see on when it's turned off, the radio towers are pixelated and stuff. TXAA, a little bit more refined detail there. MSAA 4 times, it looks pretty good. And then Wargaming's TSS, it also looks nice and crisp as well. So, making the wires and the fine supports of the radio towers appear crisp and not pixelated, that's one part of it, but you also got to see it in motion, see if it maintains that crispness and make sure there's no ghosting when you're moving the camera around. There's a fair bit of that right now with the current methods we have in game. If you look at like your ship's rigging, when you move the camera around, you'll see some of that ghosting going on there. But according to Wargaming, with its TSS, did it eliminate ghosting or does it minimize ghosting? Let's see. Minimizes. Okay, so it minimizes ghosting. Okay, so obviously we have to see this in motion to really see how good it does look, but it looks pretty dang good from what we can see on this first screenshot. Second screenshot, again, look at the radio towers in the background, look at the rigging on the ships, look at the the supports of the crane and such. Again, you can see going from left to right, it gets better, and then Wargaming's looks pretty dang good. Again, we'll see in motion how this performs, because like MSAA 4 times and WG TSS looks darn near similar, but with MSAA 4X, that's the one that gives us the ghosting right now. So maybe if Wargaming's TSS really does eliminate a lot of that ghosting, obviously that's going to be the option most of us graphics hoes are going to go with when it does come out in 14.6. So good on Wargaming there. Updating the game's graphics, making the game look better is something that is very much an excellent thing in my humble opinion. So we shall move on from there. The other parts of this devlog we've already covered beforehand. The content rarities coming in 14.6, along with the classified documents with operations with flagships. That's also coming in this update. So we've covered the rest of this devblog beforehand, with the exception of some new ships that are coming out in this update. We are getting, well, two, I guess you could call them new ships. The Kiberpankov, which is based on the Pozarski, and the Tempesta Nera, which is based on the Laria. They are just reskinned ships of the two pre-existing ships, so there's that. I'm assuming they're coming in for some event, so keep that in mind as we are going into 14.6. I don't know. I think this is the first time a steel ship's been reintroduced as a standalone premium, so that'll be interesting if you can just buy a Laria without exchanging steel for it. So, okay, Wargaming. We'll see what happens with that. Alright. So, a big change coming to the game is this attempt Wargaming is having at fixing blowout matches. So this is the second devblog, linked down below as well, right underneath the first devblog. And this is coming in 14.5, so this is the update that, this is the June update. 14.6 is the July update. This is the update that's coming next week, I do believe. Alright, so this devblog is titled Domination Mode with Updated Settings. Captains, in update 14.5, we will have changes to domination mode and random battles, building on previous improvements. The new settings will help to reduce the number of cases of battles ending too quickly. The updated settings are as follows. Starting number of points at the beginning of battle, 150. Points for destroying an enemy ship, you get 40 for all ship types. Points for losing a ship, 25 for all ship types. These settings will now be active for the 3 control area domination modes on the following maps: New Dawn, Fault Line, Shards, Trident, Neighbors, Crash Zone Alpha, Northern Waters, and the Faroe Islands. On top of that, these settings will serve as an additional mode on some maps. You will be able to see the exact point setting during the pre-battle countdown on the mission menu. Specifically, you may encounter the alternative new settings on the following maps. For the 3 control areas: Ocean, Solomon Islands, Archipelago, Strait, the Atlantic, North, Hotspot, Islands of Ice, Trap, Land of Fire, Sea of Fortune, Tears of the Desert, Polar Islands, Mountain Range, Shatter, Okinawa, Warrior's Path, Loop, Sleeping Giant, and Greece. On the 4 control areas, which are, if you're wondering, Ring, Hotspot, Two Brothers, Land of Fire, Northern Lights, Estuary, Sleeping Giant, Haven, Greece, Crash Zone Alpha, and the Faroe Islands. You know, it's kind of funny we talk about, new maps with Wargaming, which another thing that I should have mentioned when talking about the art department, we are also getting a new map, I believe by the end of this year as well, so, kudos to them for that as well. But when you actually look at it, there's a fair few maps in the game. The matchmaker just gets stuck on, like 3 or 4 of them a night, it seems like. But anyway, note that you'll be able to choose the scoring settings for these maps in the training battle under the Domination Alternative and Domination 4 Areas alternative names. We are planning further improvements to the domination mode settings based on game data and player feedback. So, looks like they're tweaking the points to see, if they can kind of prevent the matches ending too quickly. I mean, blowout matches, sure, obviously. With the current point system in place, that does lead to them ending quite quickly. But, I mean, I don't think there's really an issue with, the math of how the battles are laid out. I mean, there is always that chance that you can come back and, clutch up a win from a loss. There are very few matches that are like the background match here, which is a good, long game. RNG did hate me this game, if you haven't been able to figure it out from the background footage. But, I prefer a game like this where, RNG might hate me, things don't really go my way, but it's still a good, close match, versus the matches, where half your team dies in the first 5 minutes, and then, you get pointed out, in the next minute or two, which that did also happen a lot on Tuesday's live stream, as well, for sure. Again, if you can go back and check the VOD for that. But I do appreciate that they are trying something to see if, okay, maybe if we tweak it like this, battles might last a little bit longer, give the enemy team, or give the losing team a chance to, kind of clutch up and see what happens. Because, there are plenty of cases where, by the 5-minute mark, it looks like, hey, this is over and done with. But sure enough, one or two players, they managed to get it together and bring about a victory with what looked like an otherwise solid defeat. But I think, and they do say they'll make further improvements based on player feedback. They really need to take a look at Matchmaker, and I'm not talking about like putting players with better win rates on both sides. It just really needs to take a look at like what it's putting into the match in terms of the ships. There were more than a few games, again, same Tuesday night live stream, where one side was like stacked with radar ships, one side had no radar ships. There's a moment where I believe it was myself in Missouri, an Alaska, and I think like a Moskva, Stalingrad, or some Soviet radar, and the other side had no radars. That's a massive advantage. Also, there was instances where it was a 3DD game. For some reason, it would place the 3 DDs on the enemy side, one at each cap, makes sense. But it placed our DDs, one at one cap and then two at the other cap. So right away, when we spawned in on our cap, and actually, where I spawned in, we didn't have a destroyer to, spot for us. That's a huge advantage. It's pretty much handing the enemy team that cap as long as that the destroyer doesn't get murdered in the first 2 minutes of the game, right? So they need to take a look at that too. I'm not saying that can fix all of the issues of blowout games, but I'm saying that can fix a lot, especially with all the hybrid ships that we're getting in the game now. And now that the game's reaching, 10 years old, you have subclasses within classes. We have battleships, battle cruisers now, all under battleship banner. I mean, cruisers, my God, we've got the large cruisers like, the Stalingrad, the Aegir, Siegfried, and all of those. Then we have heavy cruisers, light cruisers. We have cruisers that are pretty much big destroyers. We have destroyers that are pretty much, small light cruisers now, like with the Barbiano and the Elbing. So they really need to revamp that system that, was originally made for much more less diverse subclasses within these classes of the game, right? I think that's where they really need to turn their attention to. Again, I'm very glad they're trying to see what they can do with like the numbers and such and the rules of domination and trying to help it out there, because it's not just one thing. A lot of players like to point at issues with the game and say, hey, this is the problem. It's very rarely is it actually that's the problem. It's usually multiple factors that build up to that problem, and that's the case in real life too. It's easy to point the finger at one thing that you see as the problem, but usually it's more than just one issue in most cases. Okay, my Discord's exploding. Either I've been doxxed or something wild is happening. 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, there's another DevBlog that's been released. Oh, manual secondaries. Hold up. No, wait. Yes, manual secondaries. A new tech line of German ships that have manual secondaries. Okay, hold up a second, ladies and gentlemen. We have a third DevBlog out of nowhere to go through. Let me pull this up real quick. Okay, link to this is also in the description down below. I was not expecting this at all. Oh my God, they actually did it! Player-controlled secondaries. Alright, 1 second. Let's get into this. Alright, this DevBlog is titled Closed Test 14.6 New Ships DevBlog. Captains, we are very pleased to announce the newest branch of researchable ships coming to the game. German heavy cruisers. This branch will start at Tier 6 and consist of 5 ships. Deutschland Admiral Scheer. Oh boy. Kniesbeck. Monteful, and Prince Adalbert. It can't just be Albert, it's got to be Adalbert, whatever. Along with the release of this branch, we are introducing an often requested mechanic, manual control of your secondary battery. This feature will launch with the new German cruisers, starting from the Tier 8, the Kniesbeck, I think that's actually how you say that, and above, but that does not mean it will be solely a feature of this line, as other ships in the future may also benefit from this new ability. They actually did it, ladies and gentlemen. How long have we been asking for this mechanic to be added in, and now they're doing it.
actually gave the players what they
I
want.
do that quite a lot. Your people are always surprised.
With a new line of German heavy cruisers. This isn't like heavy cruisers from the images that I've seen going around. Haven't gotten to them just yet, but these are like, you know, the large cruisers, almost battle cruisers. But we already have battle cruisers, so these are like super heavy cruisers, you know, like gears and stuff, right? Okay, that's crazy. Let's see how they work. Important elements to note when controlling secondary batteries. You will be able to swap between main and secondary battery control like you do with other types of armament. For example, between main battery guns and torpedoes. When they are not being manually controlled, they act the same as other secondary batteries. Your main guns will track the crosshair while you are operating the secondary battery. That's good. When switching to manual control of your secondaries, their characteristics may change compared to automatic mode. For these cruisers, this results in a small buff to range of secondary guns. While manual control is active, the secondary mounts that don't have an angle of fire on the crosshair will not automatically target or fire upon enemy ships. All signals and skills that impact secondaries will continue to function as they currently do. Okay, so this is so cool. Oh, I'm so excited. Wargaming, just go get a cookie. You deserve it for this. Man, they delivered. They actually did it. The Madmens. Okay, and it's not just this line of ships. Other ships in the future might get this ability. And I wonder if that means like they'll maybe go back and add it into older ships, or if they just mean like going forward, new ships might get this ability. I can imagine that might be a bit of a balancing nightmare, because like imagine like a GK with player controlled secondaries, or like a Libertad with player controlled secondaries. You'd have to completely rebalance those ships. But you know what? This is an excellent thing in my mind. So awesome, Wargaming. Good on ya. I am so excited, so happy about this. Alright, so let's take a look at them. Literally what the next paragraph says. And now let's take a closer look at the new line. Compared to the existing line of German cruisers, these ships will specialize in close-quarter combat through their large but relatively short-range main guns and their improved secondary batteries. Combined with the typical German traits of improved HE pen and hydroacoustic search, as well as their solid protection, these ships will be able to take the fight to the enemy despite their large size and poor handling for cruisers. So there it is. It is just another armament. It is the forward button on the German, on this new line of German heavy cruisers, as they call them. Secondary battery, high explosive shells. So it looks like you are limited to HE, which fair enough. Okay. So it looks like you get about, this is the Mentoffel, I can have you say it. You get about 0.7 kilometers, 700 more meters of range in manual mode over automatic mode. Okay. Cool. Oh, look at that. Look at the reload indicator for him. That's so cool. Excellent, Ouija. Oh, this is amazing. German cruiser Deutschland Tier 6, the first member of the famed German pocket battleships. An advanced hull design with extensive use of welding and diesel engines instead of a conventional turbine power plant allowed the Reichsmarine to outthink the restrictions placed on Germany with the Treaty of Versailles and built ships that no other nation had expected them to. Their impressive characteristics, namely the use of 280 30mm battleship-grade main guns, made them formidable opponents and triggered a naval arms race, helping to influence the capital ship's design to the 1930s. Looking at you, Dunkirk. She conducted a raid into the Atlantic Ocean in 1939 with limited success before being renamed to Lutzlow in 1940. She spent most of the war operating in and around Norway, where, during the invasion, she was damaged by the same defense that sunk Blücher. She and the heavy cruiser Admiral Hipper took part in the Battle of the Barents Sea in 1942. Later in the war, she operated in support of the German landing forces on the Eastern Front. She was sunk by RAF bombers in April of 1945. But please note, her model is still undergoing development. We will use a different model, Admiral Reinhardt, with identical parameters for testing. So this is the same as the Grafspee, right? The same class, the Deutschland class cruisers. This is the head cruiser of the class. So go look at Grafspee. That's what the Deutschland is, if you don't know. I'm guessing they're just calling her Reinhardt instead of Deutschland. It's going to be the Grafspee model, but that's fine. Now, she's at tier 6. Let's see. So she gets her 280 millimeter main battery guns. Oh, they've updated the breakdown for the parameters of the ship. It's nice, and they've bolded the different parameters. Excellent, Ouija. You get a 15.8 kilometer firing range of the main battery guns. And they have a reload time of, 23 seconds. Sigma of 2.0, maximum dispersion 181 meters. But we care about the secondary guns, okay? She gets 3x2 of the 105 millimeter guns with 26 millimeters of pin at tier 6. That's excellent. And 8 of the single-mounted 150 millimeter guns with 38 millimeters of pin at tier 6. Also good. They don't say the range on these. That's unfortunate. I'm really curious to see, if they pushed out further than the Grashby's secondary range or not. So again, keep in mind, you can't manually control these. My bad, because that starts at tier 8 with the one with the knee that I have trouble saying, the knee spec, which is next. Okay, so we're getting, the tech line Grashby. Cool. That's excellent. We've been waiting for that for quite some time. I'm too excited to speak, it seems. All right, the Admiral Shear, which is the... No, I just clicked on that, dummy. Here we go. The Knee-Spec. Knee-Spec? Knee-Spec? Whatever. Hypothetical version of the P-class design with 305mm main guns, which were considered in the 1930s as a promising armament for new ships. The ship is named after Karl Friedrich von dem Kniesbeck, one of the key Prussian military leaders during the Napoleonic Wars. I'm sure you guys are probably clawing your eardrums out because I'm mispronouncing that. All right, so I like the way this looks. So P class, bigger Deutschland class, basically, from my recollection. All right, she has 49,400 hit points, 27 millimeters of plating, 2x3 of the 305 millimeter guns, again in a Grafspee configuration. And her secondary guns, you get 2 dual-mounted 150 millimeter guns and 8 dual-mounted 128 millimeter guns with the German pin. Both of these can pin 32 millimeters of armor. That is so fantastic at tier 8. These are cruisers too, mind you, and they have secondaries that can pin 32 millimeters of armor at tier 8. That is amazing. And she gets the fast damage con, repair party, hydro, and DFAA. Ooh, interesting. She gets torpedoes too. 2x4 of the 533s. They do 14,400 maximum damage, 9.5 kilometer range. That's actually really good on a tier 8 cruiser. 65 knots, 1.3 kilometer detect, reloads in 110 seconds. All right, and then the Mantehofel, however you say it. A large ship that could be seen as a transitional stage between a cruiser and a battleship, with six 350 millimeter main battery guns, which were under consideration as the main armament of prospective battleships in 1935. The cruiser was named in honor of General Feldmarschall Edwin von Manteuffel, 1809 through 1885, one of the most famous German commanders of the Franco-Prussian War. Now, this is a Schroeder. Yeah, this is just a respec Schroeder from what I've seen, okay? So, yeah, you get the 350, 17.6 kilometer main battery firing range, 2.1 Sigma reload time in 25 seconds, 59,300 HP, 27 millimeter hull plating. You get torpedoes, again, the same torpedoes that you'll find on the Kniespec. 9.5 kilometers, 14,400 maximum damage. Yep, same thing. Secondary guns, 3x2 of the 150 millimeter guns, and 9x2 of the 128. Is that the same as the Kniespec? The Kniespec? That is 2x2 150s, 8x2 128s. Nope. It's a little bit more. You get one more of the dual-mounted 150s, and you get one more of the dual-mounted 128s. Yeah, okay. So a little bit more secondary firepower there on the Manteuffel. Okay, so, I mean, yeah, it's Schroeder. I mean, we've seen what Schroeder... So imagine, you get to control Schroeder's secondaries now. Oh my god, that's wild. That is so wild, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, cool. You get Fast Damage Con, Repair Party, Hydro, and DFAA. Alright, the Prince Adalbert. Adalbert? I can have you say it. A super heavy cruiser, hypothetical version of further development of the idea of a powerful ocean raider armed with quote-unquote battleship guns. The ship inherited the name of her predecessor, the Kaiserliche Marine armored cruiser, which was sunk during a combat mission in the First World War. This is, I do believe, an entirely new model. Look at this monstrosity. I love it so much. It has a super thick Star Destroyer type bridge like you'll see on the Zeton, and it's just super thick. I love that so much. I love the way this looks. This is a beautiful machine. Alright, so the Adalbert, you get 63,900 HP, 27mm plating. She does get 60-second fires, though. 37% torpedo damage reduction. 3x3 of the 350mm guns. My god, those are some huge guns to have on a cruiser. 18.2 kilometer maximum range. 27-second reload time. 2.1 Sigma. Alright, torpedoes 2x5 of the 533, same as the others, so the 9.5 kilometer range, 14,400 maximum damage, except you get the 5 per launcher instead of the 4, so you get another tube per launcher. Alright, 4x3 of the 150mm guns, and then 9x2 of the 128mm guns. Okay, so you actually pick up quite a bit there with the 150, so you get 12 of the 150mm guns versus the 6 that you get. Oh my god, so you get double the number of 150mm guns from the tier 9 to the tier 10. That is insane. But you get the same amount of the 128. You get 9 of the 128s on the tier 10 and on the tier 9. So dang, you're picking up with the 150s there. Oh my god, that's insane. Fast Damage Con, Repair Party, Hydro, and DFAA again. Oh my god, Wargaming. Be still my heart. This is a beautiful line. I hope these guys make it into the game with their manual secondaries intact. I know that's the whole thing of this line, and I hope that... I cannot wait to play these. This is a line I will break my wallet out to get in early access because they're so beautiful. Oh man, I love them so much already. I don't even have the ability to play them just yet. God, it's gonna be interesting to see how these guys get balanced. I mean, because like player controlled secondaries, that is such a powerful thing to have. Because the secondary guns, obviously, they take forever to spool up their accuracy, but now with the frickin' Adalbert here, I mean, you have 12 150mm guns and 18 128 guns at your disposal to just shred any destroyer that dares get close to you, and you don't have to wait for the accuracy to build up like you do with battleship guns. So, yeah. Oh, man. Wargaming, I'm so glad you actually did it and you gave the players what they asked for. There's more ships here, too. Oh, okay. 1 second, other 2 ships. We're still gushing over these ships. But yeah, I love the way they look. I love that they are, again, going in with the secondary, with the player-controlled secondaries. I'm so happy. So, I mean, this is great. Good on you, Wargaming. Again, get a cookie. Alright, so we get 2 more new ships. We have a Tier 10 Japanese cruiser called Kushiro. A ship which, as in the case of the Megami class, could have been laid down as a light cruiser, and only later rearmed, was named after one of Japan's rivers. In battle, Kushiro will be enjoyable for fans of the Japanese heavy cruisers, with her good HE shell characteristics and torpedoes. Compared to the Zhao, she has a stronger set of consumables, including an improved repair party, with faster cooldown and better hit point recovery. Additionally, she retains the typical Japanese cruiser consumable set of Hydro-Cruiser Search / DFAA, and Spotter and Fighter. However, for the first time for a Japanese heavy cruiser, Kushiro will have access to the exhaust smoke generator consumables, similar to that found on the Italian cruisers. Among her downsides are a slow turret traverse speed, large turning circle, and lower than average torpedo range. Combined with her large citadel, this means you'll need to maneuver carefully to avoid taking heavy damage. Fortunately, her exhaust smoke and strong heal should make these not as devastating as they might have otherwise been. In battle, Kushiro will need to keep good situational awareness to maximize her firepower's impact, while also being aware of potential threat directions. Her consumable arrangement will allow her to mitigate her less than stellar handling. Of particular importance is to use the exhaust smoke generator to allow both aggressive pushes and to cover your withdrawals, giving your large citadel making big turns to spell the end for you. That's interesting. Japanese heavy cruiser with exhaust smoke. You get 5x2 203mm guns as well. Okay. Alright. That's interesting. Perhaps what is more interesting is the Italians are getting a super battleship called Affondatori. Affondatori. Okay. Sounds like a type of pasta. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, I'm not just saying that because it's Italian. It sounds like a type of pasta. The Italian version of the maximum battleship concept, a ship of unlimited displacement with extremely powerful artillery armament. The battleship inherited her name from one of the first Italian ironclads, the famous Affondatori, literally sinker. Oh, it means sinker? Okay. Affondatori, or whatever, which is the Italian flagship at the Battle of Lissa in 1866. Affondatori will play in the same vein as her Tier 10 counterpart, combining a large barrel count with access to powerful AP shells, allowing the potential of extremely heavy volleys. Unlike the ships of her tech tree, Affondatori does not carry sap shell for her main battery guns. What? That's kind of the whole point of the class, of the line. She has typical strong armor found in the Italian battleships that ensures good citadel protection. In terms of her consumable fit, she carries improved exhaust smoke with a larger radius, longer action time, and a faster cooldown. That will allow you to make use of it more often when the situation suits it. Her key downsides are mediocre accuracy and relatively short range compared to her tier peers. It means that you will require closing to ranges where you will need to rely on her solid protection. Additionally, her large size means her handling isn't the best, and torpedoes will be an ever-presenting threat to you. Affondatori also carries a combat instruction, charged by hits of her main battery guns. They enhance her secondary battery rate of fire, penetration, and dispersion, as well as improves the ship's speed by 10%. The combat instructions, however, does not increase your secondary battery range. Therefore, to get the maximum use out of them, you must close to extremely short range, a situation that your solid armor protection and improved exhaust smoke will be vital in. While at the helm of Affondatori, we advise you to engage enemies at medium range, relying on the might of her main battery. Wait for the right moment when your combat instructions are charged and a vulnerable enemy is nearby. Then close the distance. Once you're ready to once you're really close to the enemy, activate combat instructions to give your secondary guns a devastating power and unleash your fire on the opponent. Affondatori's exhaust smoke generator will also help you to close the range with the enemy and make the most of her secondaries. Alternatively, both smoke and the buff to speed provided by combat instructions might help you disengage from unfavorable encounters. Does she have sap secondaries, though? No, they're HE secondaries, and they are 135, so you get 6x3 of the 135mm guns. Okay, so they can actually, like, pin stuff, right? 23mm of pin. Oof, that's not overly great. 9% fire chance, though, with a 6.1 second reload time and a range of 7.3 kilometers. Oh, that is so weird that they don't give her sap. What's her main battery gun made up of? Okay, so you get 16 16-inch guns with a 19.3 kilometer range, 1.6 sigma though. My God. Huh. Alright then. Also, we know what Sabir and Amiral Lartigue looks like, so there you go. Okay, so surprise third DevBlog of the day. I am super hyped for the German heavy cruisers, as they're calling them, line. As you guys heard, I was barely able to speak through reading this DevBlog. I am so hyped for this. I cannot wait for these guys to get into early access so I can get my grubby little hands on them. Again, I know I've said it so much in this video, but bravo to Wargaming for doing this. This is a massive, massive, massive win for the players here, in my humble opinion. And again, more stuff pushing us more toward that close combat type of gameplay than, you know, all the sniping stuff that kind of dominates at higher tier. So I am mega hyped for this. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. What a wonderful way to end this devlog. This was going to be like a 15-minute video. Now it's going to be like a 40-minute video. But hey, it's good news. It's well worth it. So guys, again, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. Hope you guys have a wonderful Friday. I will be live streaming right here tonight on the channel around 5 p.m. U.S. Central Time. So make sure you guys come out for that. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.